Welcome back, boys and ghouls, to Season 7 of the Bugman's Champions League. We have just crossed the halfway point. We're going into Week 5. So today we're going to look back on the Week 4 matchups, just give a brief description of what happened. We're going to go over the standings, go over Week 5 and our predictions, and then we'll just look over some of the standout players and coaches. So let's begin with last round. Rocky Mountain Marauders had a 2-0 victory versus Pittsburgh Steelers. John's a new coach. He's struggling a little bit to understand how to play the game and to get his offense rolling, which is not uncommon. Pittsburgh Steelers, the Blackwork team, they're a hard team to play with, first off. Second, they're a slow team. They do have a lot of muscle, but they're not a team that's going to be explosive like an elf team. So they do tend to struggle offensively. Defensively, they're okay, but again, they're very slow on both sides of the pitch, which can be a real hassle because you can't move fast enough to get up the field to score. And also, if you get out of position, you are in trouble because you can't catch back up. Their team is built off of killing and fouling. That's what the Blackworks do. So once he gets a good grasp of it, it'll take some time, but once he does, Pittsburgh Steelers will start getting some points on the board and leveling up their players. We've got Camelot Coconut Cloppers. They got a 2-1 victory versus the Dark Elf team. Camelot Cloppers have some really nice skills built in, and then they were able to level up their players very smartly, and they got a bunch of guard to really help with those skills that were innate, like stand firm. So just keep looking for them to just level up their players and do really well. The Clayton Cutters are starting to move back up. I think they and another team, and we'll talk about it later, they have some roster issues, and I think that's where the majority of their, I think that their struggles in the league are coming from is just their management of their team. If they can get that under control and add the correct positionals or the right amount of players and maybe some re-rolls and things, I think that they could be more competitive and actually do much better. They're not doing bad, but I think they're putting themselves at a disadvantage with some of their roster selections. Next is the Shifting Sands. That's my team, Tomb Kings versus Deep Freeze. That was the Norse. I had a 2-0 victory. It was a pretty decisive one. Van had a lot of journeymen. My guard pieces came in strong and really helped me dictate the field and how he moved. The Blizzard had a major effect in our game. He had needed to roll a 3-up to score in the first drive of the game, second turn of the game, and he ended up failing in the end zone, and he casualtied his best player. Again, that's a problem when you focus all of your team value on one star player, and you give them a bunch of skills and don't give skills to all your other players. If that player goes down, you are behind the 8-ball, which is what happened. He had a block dodge Valkyrie, and when she went down, the team just kind of fell apart. And then some serfs, I was able to really hamper his team from being on the field. And towards the end of the game, he had only 4 players left in the second half, and there's not much you can do whenever you're down that many. When I have a full 11 versus 4, even the best coaches in the world, there's nothing you can do against that. But we look forward to seeing how he responds next week. We've got the Goblin v. Goblin team that had went match last week, and it ended up being the Sundrop Snotflingers played the Fumblebees and had a 2-1 victory. Not many injuries. Surprise. Some bribes and things like that, which is good. Bomber dribble snot. Yeah. But not many injuries. It's surprising. So let's see how they continue to perform next round. We had the Oak City Ghoulies. Luke's Necromantic ended up with a 2-1 victory versus Mirkwood Marauders. And then the surprise game for us was Greg's had a loss to Church Mountain Tar Hooves. He had thrown a bunch of double skulls in that game, and when you do that, it really hurts. He's still a very solid coach, and he will bounce back strong. He'll bounce back strong, and he'll be in the playoffs, and look out for when he does, because he is a very strong coach, and we see him probably going to be in the championship game. He's just, I mean, there's a lot of good coaches in our league. So now that we've talked about last round, let's go into the standings. Again, no surprise, Luke's in first place. He's undefeated, 4 wins. Green has really jumped up quite a bit, 3 wins and a draw, which is great. Gabe is doing fantastic with 2 wins and 2 draws. We've got the next 3 players we're all kind of in a tie. My Shifting Sands, the Deep Freeze, and the Coconut Cloppers, 2 wins, a draw, and a loss, which is a very solid performance. Rocky Mountain Rotters, right up there with us, a win and 3 draws. We've got the Mirkwood Marauders just right below them, sitting at 8th place with 2 wins, 2 losses. We have got, in 9th place, Greg has got win, loss, 2 draws. And then 9th through 14th are not your playoff, but there's plenty of time to really bounce back. Gettysburg Steelers are a win and 3 losses, same as the Sundrop Snotfling is. We've got the Fumblebees next. They're in 12th place, 2 losses, 2 draws. Clayton Cutters, 3 losses and a draw, and then the Elephants are in last place with 3 losses. So, match 5. What are we looking at? Elephants versus Tar Hoops. Tar Hoops are in a good spot. They've got such good roster right now, the right amount of men. They've got the right skills. They're going to have, the Elephants are going to have quite a bit of inducements, $230K. So they've got some, again, we talked about this just a little bit ago. Their roster, I think, is really what's hampering them from being a competitive team right now. They have nobody that's agility 3 up. So everybody's agility 4 right now because they lost their runner for this week, Mr. Coldbreaker. He has got 3 people that can level up. He has not leveled any of his players up. I'm not sure if he's maybe saving it for stat upgrades, but that's not what I would do. I would just put guard on them all and be done. Because at 90K, a block tackle guard piece, armor 10, I mean, if he gets all of his players with guard, I don't know how you deal with that as a team, as a coach, because you just stick them in front of everybody, and then maybe save a double for you could save a double up for defensive and then be really annoying. But again, he really needs to get either another dwarf runner, maybe the 2 dwarf blitzers. He only should have 12 max players, but dwarves can even play with 11 because 10 armor value and thick skull makes them not very susceptible to leaving the pitch. If they can just do that, I think they're in good shape. But again, he really needs to level these 3 players up, Sneezy, Dopey, Sleepy. They have the star player points. They can upgrade right now, and that's what I would do. There is a possibility that you don't level them up for the next game. That way you can get Karlovan kill, because you need some speed on the field. You've got nobody that can pick the ball up and go with it. At least Carla's agility 3 up, and she's movement 6 and block dodge strength 4. She's going to have to be your ball carrier. So that's probably what I would do. But after this game, I think you should seriously look into your rosters and start moving some stuff around. I just don't think it's a competitive roster. I couldn't play with this and be competitive in any sense. It's just not competitive. Let's see. Chaos Chosen. Oh, he got the big guy. I didn't even notice that. So now he has got a Chaos Ogre. That's a nice choice. You could go Minotaur for about the same price, but I like the Chaos Ogre. That really bumped his team value up to 1430. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 players, which is great. He's got 1 guard. He's got a bunch of block, which is what I would do. Tackle Mighty Blows is a solid choice. So the next one should be your Beastman Run, should be block tackle. Claws, maybe go Mighty Blow or block, depending on what you want to do. He's in a good spot. He's just got to make sure he doesn't get his team value too high because you don't want to start giving your opponents a bunch of inducements. But we do see this as a 2-0 victory. They're just twice as fast. The Tar Heels are just twice as fast as the Dwarves, and if the Dwarves can even pick the ball up on a 4-up, I don't know if they can. So that's harder than it looks. Like, my shifting stance has the same problem, and I've got sure hands. Like, you're going to burn through those re-rolls, and you get that ball knocked out once, or you get tied up, you can't dodge away on a 3-up, you're stuck. And your team is so slow. Oh. Yeah, that team's in trouble. Next up, Rocky Mountain Routers, Shifting Sands, Nurgle Tomb Kings. Looks like I'm going to get about 30k in inducements, so I'm probably, 40k, so I'm going to get a mascot, which is going to be like a 5-up reroll for each half I can try to use. I've got a decent amount of stuff. I've got all the guard, which is my first skill always on my Tomb Guardians. Then I'll start spattering in Mighty Blow next, so that I can start really punching and getting some removals. I got Block Tackle on my thrower, which is like my little safety piece. I've got another thrower, doesn't have any skills yet, but that one will get like block and maybe safe pair of hands. So that way if I do get knocked down, I can put the ball where I need to, so that way nobody can pick it up. Because you don't want to, if you turn the ball over on Tomb Kings, you're in trouble. You should never have your throwers be taking any hits, because you're such big strength, you should be having the safest cages in the world. So, for all those players who want to become Tomb Kings players, you should not be taking hits with your throwers. In fact, I always keep them on the bench until offense drive. Yeah. And I might even make the other thrower a reroll caddy and give him a leader. So, but I got a lot of nice skills. I've got way more guard than him, so the one thing that I think is going to make a big difference is my mummy crew. The 4 guard is going to be strong. He does have a decent amount of strength, but he doesn't have the guard to go with it, so he's not going to be able to rely on it to make those blocks. So he's going to have to like focus on my linemen and get in the right position, tie up players, and pray that foul appearance works. So I think that's going to be the main big change in this game. So if my mummies can do good and position my guard correctly, he is agility 4-up for the most part. He's going to struggle to push me around. If I fail a bunch of foul appearances and I don't block him because he's dirty, gross, then I could see the Nurgle team getting in a position. I do think this is going to be a 1-0 victory for the Tomb Kings, but if things go badly, I think this could be a 0-0 tie. We're both good coaches, and we're going to use our advantages of the strengths of our players to try to take advantage of each other. So it should be a good game. Next is Oak City Ghoulies, Necromantic Order versus Sundrop Snotflingers, Alex's Goblins. Let's see, what is he going to get? Sundrop Snotflingers are going to get about 210k in inducements. Luke's got all the skills in the right places. Oh, he's got tackle. Yeah. Mighty Blow block. I think Frank and I think Elise are going to have big games. On the other side of the ball, we've got Zodi should have a good game with block. He does have the ability to upgrade one of his bombers. I'd do 2 random passing skills on them, because you could get some like safe pass where if you roll a 1, you don't throw the ball and it's not a fumble, or accurate or leader, and it would only increase you to 65k. The bomber might be good in this game. Yeah, I think I'd just do some randoms on the bomber. The Pogoer, save up that skill, and you should get like sprint, sure feet. That should be his skills, or even save up for sure hands. Save your reroll since you only have 2. But at 210k inducements, what do we get for 210 inducements? I think a bias ref is always good. What do you think? Bias ref or Fungus to the Loon, and 2 bribes. Those are 2 good options. That's what DJ thinks. And then just throw in a mascot for fun. And I think that would be my best bet if I was playing as the Goblin team, what inducements I would take. I'd probably go biased ref, just because then you can argue the call on a 5-up, and you do have a lot of secret weapons. You might be able to keep them on the field. His chainsaws should hopefully focus those ghouls. So try to hit those ghouls. They don't have regen. But we think this is close. Luke's such a good player. We think it's going to be a win, but it's either going to be a 2 or 3-0 win for for Luke. He's just going to keep steamrolling. Next, we've got Deep Freeze versus Clayton Cutters. So, what are they going to get? Deep Freeze has got to take a ton of... I'm sorry, Van, I murdered your team. He's going to have to get a lot of journeymen. He is, I think, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, he's got 4 journeymen. I killed one of his elf warners, which he repurchased. But he's going to get 50k in inducements, so that's going to be a keg. That or another player, but I think keg's the way to go with those knockouts. I talked about the half the dwarf team in their roster, and it's really to struggle. I feel the same way about the dark elf team. I just think their roster's too deep of a bench. They got a lot of good players. Like, he got all of his blitzers, which is good. He's got 2 witch elves. You could go with 1, but 2's good. 2's good. He's got an assassin, which I like the assassin because it has the stab ability, and we are in a stunty league. But I don't think you need 2 runners. I think I'd get rid of 1 runner. You really should only have 12 players on a Dark Elf team. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I would knock one of them off. That would give you a little less team value. He did some randoms. He got lucky and got dodge. Sprint's okay. Like, that's not a bad skill set. But this runner with Fumblerooski, fire him. You don't need him. The wrestle's great. Dive and catch. I don't like randoming skills on my expensive good players because it takes more to level them up for the next time you need a level. Doesn't really add much to their team value. 10k. That's not the big deal. But it just makes it harder to level them because you need more star player points to level them up. Whereas if you just saved it, you could have gotten what you needed for 10 extra k, and then like wrestle and tackle or wrestle strip ball or wrestle leap sidestep, things like that. He only has 10k in treasury, so he can't get anything because he keeps buying players. He needs to start thinking, maybe not quite yet, but he really needs to start thinking about saving for an apothecary. But most importantly, he only has 1 reroll. You don't have leader. Maybe if you can get leader, then I would say it's okay. Like, your runner could get leader, I think. Until then, like, you can't take any risks with this team because you don't have really many built-in skills that are good enough to, like, we've got a couple dodge pieces to dodge, and you've got block to make 2-die blocks, but you're going to make risky plays as an elf, and you have 1 reroll. You're going to lose that in turn 2 of the game. You're going to roll 1 double skull, and you're going to have to go down. Like, you're going to be like, well, even if you're in a bad position, so really needs another reroll. At least 2, and then get a leader piece, because it's just so hard to play with 1 reroll. If he can just do that, he's in good spot. Like, he's got a good solid team otherwise. Yeah, get rid of the runner. Stop randoming everything. And then just go with save up money for a reroll. And then once, I think I'd go reroll first. And then, because you don't really have your players leveled up a ton, and elves can level up quickly, I would then save up for the apothecary second. And I think that's your best bet. But yeah, I think the roster's really hurting this team quite a bit. And that's why I think this goes either way. I think Van's going to end up winning this one, even though I think it's going to be a struggle. I think it's going to be a 1-0 win. Yeah, Van's has got a beat-up team, but Van's also an experienced coach. From looking at the roster for the Clayton Cutters, it seems like maybe a new player is still trying to learn the ins and outs, and I think that's going to be the hardest thing is trying to figure out how to get this team to work correctly. And then the 1 reroll, until you can get at least 2 rerolls, I don't think you have a good chance. I think you'll always be behind the 8 ball. But Dark Elves are one of the best teams in Blood Bowl, so it can bounce back quickly. I mean, they're still in the playoff hunt. Everybody's, for the most part, is still in the playoffs drive. Next, Selacarho Cajarino, the Amazon team versus the Black Orc team. They're going to get 85k in inducements, the Amazons. It's crazy how how many skills you can get on an Amazon team and still keep that team value so low. This might be the first time and the last time I ever say this, but I think that Acorn might be the answer for this as an inducement. Claws is going to rip through those Blackworks. Dauntless, and then Dauntless you could even use on your the Goblins on a 2-up. So yeah, I think that is the way to go. He doesn't. Blackworks have a little bit of block. I don't think I'd cage dive with him. I think I'd just dive bomb into the Blackworks and just try to hit him. So let's just take a look at the team. Blodge everywhere. That's gonna be hard for the Blackworks to deal with. They don't have any tackle, I don't think. Yeah, no tackle. Couple block piece. One block piece. So Zolafi, the troll for the Blackworks, he should be vomiting. I wouldn't even throw, unless you're getting 3-die blocks, I wouldn't even throw blocks at those linemen. I'd just vomit on them. Armor 8 is not that hard to break with vomit. So, and if you fail it and vomit on yourself and knock yourself down, it's not a turnover. So here's a little quick tip for John. If you're in a point where you can't afford a failure, just vomit on them. Like, if you're getting ready to just score a touchdown and you've got a troll and you can do a blitz, don't always do a blitz like if you don't have block, because it can fail. Just vomit with the troll before the half. Like, it won't hurt you. You can't get a turnover, and it's a safe move. So remember to vomit. I think it's gonna be a hard game for them though. Because they're going to have one journeyman. They're not going to get any inducements, but Greg is. So he's going to have 12 players versus 11. You're not going to be knocking players over very often, but if you can get some... Your problem is you need to get 3-die blocks. If you're trying to knock over something with dodge and you don't have block, you're basically fishing for 6s, which what a POW is. You're going to need to be throwing 3-die blocks. So I think that's what's going to happen, is you're just going to try to pick 3-die blocks when you can and vomit with the troll. But I think this is going to be a hard one for Blackworks. Again, I still think they're trying to get their feeding and learning how to play the game. I think it's going to end up being a 2-0 victory for Amazons. I think they really need the win here to bounce back because they did drop a little bit with that last loss. But Greg's a good player. I know he knows what he's doing. And he will be deep in the playoffs, if not the championship. He is a very strong player. Next is All Madmen, the Dark Elf, and the Coconut Cloppers, Imperial Nobility. Green's got a nice team. He's got block and dodge and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blodgers. Whew! That is a lot. He's got a really solid team. 3 rerolls and Apothecary. Man, he's in good shape. He's at 1,400 points. And then the Coconut Cloppers also have a very strong team. They got a deep bench, which is you're going to need. Dark Elves are a bashy team. You might not think of elves being bashy, but they are. He's got all the skills in the right places. He's got 4 guard. I mean, that's going to be hard to deal with. Stand firm, guard, wrestle. Next should be either like tackle, mighty blow, things like that, or even block. His ogre's got guard, so he's got 5 guard. He's sitting in right where he needs to be. He's got a blodger piece as well. He's got a block thrower. I think the next one, the number 4, should end up getting tackle first. You have one of them as your offense, dodge, sidestep, maybe diving tackle. And then the other one should be tackle, frenzy, mighty blow, even save up for double for mighty blow. And then you're good. Then your linemen, your Imperials, just random them and see what you get. Maybe you get something good like wrestle or dirty player. Dirty player. Yeah. If you can keep them alive, it seems like they die left and right. So that's why he's got such a deep bench. I think it's going to be a good game. I think this is going to be a very tactical game because what it's going to come down to is, can the guard get in the right spots to force dodges with the Dark Elves and make them roll bad? Because you're not going to knock these guys over very often. You'll wrestle them to the ground, but you're not going to knock them down. So It will be. I think it's going to be a really good game. I think this is the game of the week. But I could see this going either way. But I think Green is going to end up with a 2-1 victory in this, just because he's got blodge everywhere. And if the Coconut Cloppers, I think they've got great skills on their team, and they're a good coach. And I just think that they're built to face off against like my Tomb Kings or other teams that are more like bashy, whereas Dark Elves are more precision hitting. They're going to dodge away. They're going to strike at certain players, and then they're going to move back and play Elf Screen. And then if you're not careful and you think, oh, they're not going to bash me, I'll just get right in their face. Then they can hit you and then really start removing players. But I do think the Dark Elves are going to end up with a 2-1 victory. So it should be a good game, though. Let's see. Mirkwood Marauders. Wood Elves versus Goblin. I think this is going to be a good game, too. 185K? 185K for the Fumblebees. Well, we know one thing's for sure. They love Bomber Dribblesnot. He's good. I wouldn't purchase him. Not this game. Not against Wood Elves. They're going to pick that. They're going to pick that interception off, and they're going to throw it back at you. I would just go a bribes, 2 of them, and a biased ref, and then just pray to God that your chainsaw can start removing players. I would just be, or you could take Nobla Blackwort. He's a chainsaw star player and a bribe. Yeah. Don't spend the money on the bomber. I know you love him. He's not worth it in this game. I do think this is going to be. I think it's going to be a 3-1 victory for Mirkwood. But they got to keep that chainsaw protected. If they can do that and just chainsaw the shit out of every player, but you want to focus on of course, the War Dancers. You should just chainsaw them, but I would almost put them on offense and just try to murder. You've got a sneaky get, then you just not, and you've got an Ooligan dirty player, so just start by just trying to remove elves. Don't worry about knocking out this one or the good ones. Just get in a good position, knock one down, gang foul him, kill him, and then move on to the next. And then try to get, if you can get 3 or 4 casualties, man, that makes playing Wood Elves a little bit harder. But I mean, Wood Elves can be still competitive with like 3 players on the field. I wouldn't even mess with the Tree Man. I would just leave it alone. It's too slow. Or I'd feed it a goblin once in a while and be like, all right, have fun. But the chainsaw is going to have to do some work. Fear is going to be the main player in this game. But I think the thrower is going to be a surprise dark horse. The ball's going to get knocked out. And then Mahay is going to end up getting some nice throws. Should maybe try to even just rack up star player points. Just do passes like vanity passes. Because you want to start maybe, you got 3 rerolls. You could get leader or strong, or not strong arm, but like cloudburst or something that makes it a little safer passing longer distance. But I think that the thrower is going to have a big game. And then I would probably fire this Wood Elf at Edge 3. No, maybe save it. I still think it's going to be 3-1 victory for the Mirkwood Marauders. I really think the Fumblebees they're at a disadvantage because they're playing a team that loves speed and hitting. And if they can get up a couple scores fast, they're going to burn through those bribes quickly. That's why maybe a biased ref might be good. Because you're going to be able to argue the call on a 5-up instead of a 6, so you might save more players, but definitely don't take Bomber. Just not worth it. Not in this game. Not against Elves. Not especially against Wood Elves, who are going to catch it. They're going to intercept like on a 4-up, I think, and then they're going to pass on like a 2+. Yeah, they're going to catch that ball, and they're going to throw it right back on you. So now that we've went over this round and gave our predictions, let's go over the standout players and coaches. I will start with the teams. Tar Hooves have the highest team value right now. That's after they got that big ogre, which is really, again, Chaos Chosen are a team that are notorious for getting high team values. We've got Shifting Sands with the most star player points right now. And we're all kind of right there. So it's really good to see that not one team being super dominant. All of our coaches are doing having really good games, getting their star player points leveled up on their players. They seem to be sharing the wealth, so to speak, which is good to see that, one player isn't just hogging all the star player points. I don't believe in the most versatile. I think that it counts fouls, and I foul like 10 times a game, so I never like the most versatile. It doesn't mean anything. Alrighty, Mirkwood Marauders are 9 touchdowns. Man, that's good. And Green and Luke are right behind now, really bringing up the rear. But I think Mirkwood's going to really pump up the points next this round. I think they're going to end up with a 3-1 victory, so I think they're going to really start pulling ahead. Tar Hooves, again, only team allowing 1 touchdown this season. That's really good. Everybody else is kind of in the 3-4 and up range. I'm killing a bunch of people as usual. It's not because of Mighty Blow. It's because I've got Strength 5 and I've got Guard. And I'm just rolling as many blocks as I possibly can. And the more often you knock players over, again, the more often you're going to get casualties. So, yeah. Van is the most injured. Thanks to me, probably, because I think I had like 5 casualties or 6 in our game. But only a couple of them counted, but I decimated his team. I've got 4 I'm killing people left or right with 4 total kills. Again, I foul, but the Gettysburg Steelers are more fouling. Deep Freeze has got the most completions, but I think that this week Mirkwood Marauders are going to jump quite a bit ahead. Luke's best run is 4 wins. Now, let's look over the standout players now that we've talked about the teams. Werewolf has got the most value. That's not a surprise. Werewolves are expensive. These big guys got some guard, so let's keep up and seeing if they don't get a level up maybe eventually. It's hard to level big guys up. Once you get guard on them, you're pretty much set. Then you can but it takes 20 games before you can start really, unless you really focus on them. Garrig has really jumped out. He's the beast man runner from the Church Hooves. He has really stepped up in the last 3 games and went from no star player points to now leading the league. So he has really, really done great, and he's the most versatile. He's the most experienced. I think he's even the killer. He's the number 1 killer in the league. So he's got 6 casualties already. Yeah, so he just got on fire after when he played me. He had 3 casualties, and he just has continued to dominate. He had 3 in the next game, so he's really doing good. The one that surprised me was Lightning Brow as the most touchdowns. I did not expect that, but I guess he's their ball carrier. He has got Pestigores on a Nurgle team, so only the Pestigores are Agility 3. Everybody else is Agility 4, so he's got to protect them. So it makes sense that he's going to have guys who have more touchdowns focused on players. Let's see. Anything else we want to talk about? We got some goblins that like to foul. Bumblebees, too. Yeah, goblins are foulers. Loken of Marat, the Imperial Throwers, got 4 completions, tied with a bunch of others, but I think Mehe next week is going to really jump forward with that. So, yes, that is the end. We are glad you came and listened. We're going to take 2 weeks. And then we will talk again and see how this round went. This is only an 8-game season, so we have crossed the halfway point. This is where we separate the boys from the ghouls. So we thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.